Now, ozone treatment is something that has been used in the food industry for quite some time. It's not a new technology per se. I mean, it has been used for table grapes for about 15 years or so.
That's actually where my background is from.
Oh, I see.
I've been applying ozone applications to the agricultural industry, to fruit and vegetables, for over 15 years. We've spent over a decade analyzing what types of fruit and vegetables need what type of ozone application, at what levels, at what concentrations, at what time of application. Is it a 2-hour application, or is it a 50-day application? I don't know if you are aware of this, but a lot of the fruits and vegetables that we eat today are in storage for a long time before they go to the grocery store. The average age of an apple or a kiwi fruit that you get at the grocery store today is 6 to 12 months old.
Right.
And they use systems like ozone and increased carbon dioxide and decreased oxygen, different types of air environments, utilizing ozone to preserve and store fresh fruits and vegetables. At the same time, with the ozone factor in the food and ag industry, it's a real cleaning factor. So things like microbial products, microbial issues, Brett, which is a major bacteria problem for a lot of wineries, molds and things that occur with wet harvest seasons. Ozone's not only going to impact the wine in terms of removing potential smoke taint, but it's going to provide a much cleaner wine, a much cleaner grape that goes into fermentation, which means avoiding stuck fermentations, no Brett problems, and in the end, potentially less SO2 that you'd have to add to the wine to preserve it later because the wine is so clean after the treatment from ozone.
I will admit I was grinning a little bit when I was reading the list of benefits from using the ozone method, because it seemed like a kind of cure-all silver bullet. But I understand how this actually works with regards to microbial and without, I mean, of course, Brettanomyces being something that would be essential to get rid of, in my mind, in winemaking. You mentioned there that there would be different ozone treatments for different types of fruits and different types of vegetables. Would the same be true for different varieties of grapes?
For the most part, no. It's a pretty broad range that ozone can operate in, and grapes cover. They're very compatible with ozone. Right. I'll give you a great example. You can't use ozone to help with leafy vegetables. So lettuce, for example, ozone will oxidize and brown the lettuce leaves, which no one wants. So lettuce is not something you use ozone for. A nectarine, for example, the skins of a nectarine are quite sensitive, and too much ozone for too many days can actually wrinkle the skin and destroy the fruit to a content. But then you come across the other arena of fruits and vegetables, things like pineapples, things like grapes, both table grapes and wine grapes, extremely compatible with ozone. Their skins are tough and strong, and they receive a lot of benefits from it. They can handle high amounts of ozone for long periods of time. Here's an interesting, I think, spin on that question and an answer to it, which is when you think about growing grapes and you hear about the story of stressing the grape out, it's what you're supposed to do, right? To wine grapes, it grows in terrible dirt, rocky soil. The roots have to go super deep to try to get to water. Lots of heat, lots of sun. It's not a great condition to be growing, but that's the whole reason they do it. It causes stress to particularly the red wine grapes. It increases and enhances your development of tannins and anthocyanins. These are the things that make wonderful red wines wonderful to drink. And ozone does the same thing in a very short time scale. Ozone is stressing the grape for this 24-hour treatment period that we have it for. And so all of those months of growing with developments of tannins and anthocyanins, ozone is basically touching that up to an extent, which means the wines after an ozone treatment with slightly increased tannins and anthocyanins and still beans, which is the healthy component of wines, are all going to show moderate increases as they develop into wines because of the extra stress that ozone puts on the grape right before crush.
The Purfresh Titan module is a 20 or 40-foot container, and that is a sort of self-contained module that a winery would rent from you to go through the process of cleaning up their grapes?
Yeah, we lease these Taint products to wineries around the world. We launched the system last year on the North American West Coast with deployments in California and Oregon. The beauty to the model is that these containers are readily available around the world in ocean ports and leasing centers, major transportation hubs. The real technology is in the ozone control and sensing unit.
Right.
So the equipment that we adapt onto the Taint container, which goes on and off, which is a Purfresh controller module, actually creates the ozone, senses the level of ozone, manages the level of ozone, and through both satellite and GSM modem services in the device can actually port that information to the wineries, to the Purfresh team that's monitoring the treatments, which means at any given time we can adjust the formula of that container to change temperature, humidity, ozone level, or make sure those factors are being used at the right levels for all the treatments that we provide. I think the key here is that when you provide these types of treatments to wine grapes in our Taint units, it's really a dynamic formula. The level of ozone, the time of treatment, and the combination of humidity and cold air and airflow that we're supplying. It's that full recipe that is the solution to what we see in not only saving harvests from smoke taint, but also in the marketplace in general, in the wine industry, creating better, cleaner, more fruit-forward, stable wines long-term.
I understand, indeed. I guess my last question for you would be something that I would ask anyone who was discussing any kind of treatment of grapes or wine. Is there anything that the ozone treatment takes away from the grapes, apart from all the stuff that we don't want in the grapes?
The biggest thing you have to worry about with treating wine grapes with ozone is not using too much ozone. When you use too much ozone, and this is kind of our secret formula of how we do it, how much ozone do we use, what kind of airflow do we use, and force of air to supply it, all of that done at the right levels can lead to the right solution. Done at the wrong levels, aka too much ozone, you can cause a very significant increase in the anthocyanins that the grape's producing. And if you do that, that'll lead you to a medicinal taste in the wine that is usually unwanted.
Interesting.
So managing your levels, not letting them get too high, managing the time of impact, all of those in the formula are key. If you overdo things, that's when you can get into trouble.
And I guess you've managed to gauge exactly the amount of ozone and the moisture for each of these treatments over your research and your work with ozone over the years.
Right. And we've treated so many fruits and vegetables. We have so many recipes and formulas. We're very strict, if you will, on how we treat fruit products with what amount of ozone and what amount of airflow and what amount of time. And we've got it down pretty well right now.
Excellent. Well, Christian, thank you very much for joining us at Good Food Revolution today and giving us an insight into your cure-all for this issue of smoke taint and a few other things. Really appreciate your time, and hopefully we can catch up again at some point in the future.
I was glad to be here, Jamie, and please, as you can imagine, I'd love if a lot of your listeners and viewers would go to our website, purefreshwine.com, to learn more about what we do.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much, and bye for now.
Thanks, Jamie.